Oh my god, Dom, you look so tired. How has this semester been for you?
It's been killing me. I just can't concentrate fully on all these online classes. I've been flooded with assignments and forgot to do some of them. I don't think this semester is gonna end well, and I'm pretty sure others are suffering as well. I'm blaming it on COVID-19 for making it so terrible.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear that you're having such a hard time. Speaking of COVID-19, have you seen the news? Donald Trump blames COVID-19 on Chinese people, and ever since, Asians have been treated with extreme disrespect. Can you believe it?
Truth be told, I'm not that surprised.
Why?
Well, actually, in the early times of COVID-19, I was in the US where lots of people were wearing masks. I was on a bus with my friends, and suddenly a guy who himself wasn't wearing a mask came up to us and shouted at us in public to wear a mask, just because we're Asians. He thought that we were the ones carrying the virus, so we should be the ones that wear masks.
How did you feel?
While everyone on the bus stared at us, which was surely an unwanted attention, we felt extremely violated, vulnerable, and felt like we did not belong there. We felt excluded just because of the fact that we're Asians. What about you, Zane? Do you have any experience where you felt discriminated or disrespected? Is it just me?
Oh wow, no, definitely not. I have had hate crimes in Korea as a queer. Just because I looked different, I had short hair and lip piercings, people would tell me, you look like a lesbian. I was in a club once and just because a guy didn't like the way I looked, he called the security guards on me and, please excuse my language, but he said, get that shit out. The security guards dragged me out and in the process they broke my ankle just because I looked different.
And how'd you feel?
I felt extremely violated, vulnerable, and suffocated. And judging from your story, I think a lot of people go through the same thing because of COVID-19.
So, how can we help ourselves with our discriminatory situations?
Well, I've been in Amnesty Korea for some time now.
Cool, what do they do?
They help people who want to feel respected to fight against social discrimination by engaging in online activism in support of Amnesty Korea.
Lots of people are given unequal treatment, and there's a name for that. It's called discrimination. This man's name is Martigli Jiang, a Chinese Italian who experienced racial discrimination during the pandemic. His sign says, "I'm not a virus, I'm a human, eradicate the prejudice." Those are simple sentences, but they tell us a lot about the current situation. It is true that the COVID-19 is hurting the whole globe, hurting all our communities, but not so equally. But you should keep in mind that you can always be a hope to someone who's suffering. The virus is upsurging globally, and so is racial prejudice. Thus far, Asian Americans have experienced an onslaught of attacks. The existing and worsening racism related to COVID-19 can be found in various areas. Racial slurs and verbal attacks, such as being sweared at or getting yelled at, are one of the most common injustice Asians experience. 3 out of 10 Asian Americans have reported experiencing such harassment. They are also being rejected to enter certain places, such as restaurants or shops. Even physical attacks on their properties often happen. It becomes even more problematic when they extend to physical assaults or hate crimes. Mr. Kim, Emily and Olivia, Jonathan and David are all victims of coronavirus hate crimes. Asians of all ethnicities have been scapegoated, verbally attacked with racial slurs, coughed at, spat on, physically assaulted, and even more.
My god, that's a lot. Aren't they doing anything about this situation?
Well, the problem is that it's not taken seriously by the high officials. As you saw from the news, the president himself used the term Chinese virus, and the after effects were devastating. A 900% increase in such rhetoric was shown, resulting in even more hate crimes.
Damn, it should have been a hard time out there for Asians.
That is true, but we should note that Korea had a similar problem as well, just the other way around. After the COVID-19 incident, Itaewon incident, many foreigners in Korea, even though they had nothing to do with the Itaewon incident, have reported multiple experiences of racial discrimination. Some were refused from taking a taxi. People wouldn't come near them on subway or bus. Shops where restaurants wouldn't let them in, and people would scowl at them if they had to be in a close distance. Social discrimination is not just a problem for Asians in other countries. It is an issue that exists right next to us as well.
Just like I have had hatred, queers go through hate every day. And therefore your peers and possibly your queer friends. In fact, in Korea, there is no basic human rights and therefore no anti-discrimination law.
Wow, really? I've never known. And speaking of discrimination, you mentioned the hate crime you experienced. What happened afterwards?
Actually, good question. I've only joined Amnesty Korea after the incident, so I can make a change. And I've been a queer rights activist for 3 years now, and the change I've gone through is immense.
Wow.
Ta-da!
Wow, Zane, you changed so much.
I know.
So what have you learned from Amnesty that you can share with us?
Well, the first step to activism is education. They educate, they share news that news outlets don't regularly share, and that is so important for minority communities, for people like me, and I'm living witness of this help. They share statistics to allow people to understand what minorities go through. For example, this year alone had the highest rate of transgender killings. And they also have petitions as well as press conference to bring change to the society.
Since we talked about COVID, a lot of things must have changed before and after it. How has that been treating you?
Well, before there were a lot of protests, condemnations, and official interviews, whereas now there's a lot of petitions and information provision and informational advertisements like on Instagram. So they had to cross over from offline to online, just like the rest of everything that's going on. And as a queer rights activist of 3 years, I knew exactly what to do. I, as a model, went on Instagram to speak up and to fight for rights and to stand up for what I believe in. And I had the power to influence other people to do the same, to stand up for themselves and to be the best version of themselves. And now I have friends who are allies and even activists, thanks to the encouragement of Amnesty. Amnesty works to collect, correct, and prevent such cases from happening again. Amnesty announces statements and writes petitions to official agencies and press that neglect such discrimination.
Amnesty supports the victims of hate crimes and racial assaults during the pandemic. Amnesty posts YouTube videos to spread hope and positive feelings and also to educate people of their own human rights. Amnesty posts on social media allow people to remotely reach out and help each other, showing solidarity and care for others.
Global problems like COVID-19 and queerphobia is still ongoing.
And you may be standing on either side, the discriminated or the discriminators.
Please help make the world a safer, more welcoming place by joining Amnesty. Thank you.